The war had been going on for 3 long years. Two alien races were fighting each other across 17 different star systems. The Zephyrians had tall blue bodies and used energy weapons that could burn through metal like paper. The Corvans looked like giant insects with 6 arms, and they made deadly diseases that could kill entire planets. Both sides had millions of soldiers and thousands of ships, but nobody was winning. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the human ship called New Horizon. He was watching the latest battle reports on his screen. The numbers were bad for both sides. Millions of aliens were dying every month, but the war just kept going. Jake had short brown hair and tired eyes. He had been watching this war for 2 years now, and it never seemed to end. The ship was floating in space between the two fighting armies. Humans were not fighting in this war. They were staying neutral, which meant they were not helping either side, but they were watching everything and learning about both alien armies. The human government wanted to know who might win so they could be ready. Captain Lisa Hayes walked up to Jake. She was his second in command, and she was very smart about alien technology. Lisa had long red hair, and she always wore her uniform perfectly. She carried a tablet with the newest information from the battle zones. The Zephyrians lost another fleet near the Rigel system, Lisa said. That makes it the 5th fleet they have lost this month. But the Corvans are not doing much better. They had to retreat from 3 planets because their biological weapons backfired on them. Jake looked at the numbers on her tablet. Both sides were getting weaker, but neither side wanted to give up. The Zephyrians fought with honor and tradition. They would line up their ships in perfect formations and fire their energy weapons in organized patterns. The Corvans were different. They would hide and use surprise attacks with their deadly diseases and poisonous gases. Why do they keep fighting like this? Jake asked. They are both losing so many soldiers and ships. Any human commander would have found a way to end this war by now. Lisa shook her head. They think differently than we do. The Zephyrians believe that retreating is shameful. They would rather die than look weak. The Corvans think that any enemy must be completely destroyed. They cannot imagine making peace while their enemies are still alive. Dr. Alan Cooper came onto the bridge. He was the ship's expert on alien biology and psychology. Alan was a thin man with glasses who spent most of his time studying alien behavior. He had been watching both alien races for months, and he understood them better than anyone else on the ship. I have been studying their battle tactics, Alan said. Both races are much stronger than humans in many ways. Zephyrian soldiers are twice as strong as human soldiers. Their energy weapons can destroy our best armor. Corvan soldiers can survive in environments that would kill humans in seconds. Their biological weapons are more advanced than anything we have. Jake frowned. So why have they not won against each other yet? Alan smiled. Because they are predictable. The Zephyrians always attack the same way. They form up their ships in traditional patterns that have not changed for thousands of years. The Corvans always use the same types of biological weapons. They never try anything new or creative. Lisa looked at the battle reports again. But humans are not as strong as either of them. If we had to fight one of these races, we would be in trouble. Not necessarily, Alan said. Humans have something that neither of these races have. We can adapt, we can change our tactics quickly, we can work together in ways that these aliens cannot imagine. Most importantly, we can think of solutions that nobody else would consider. Jake walked over to the main viewing screen. It showed the current battle happening in the Vega system. Hundreds of Zephyrian ships were fighting hundreds of Corvan ships. Energy beams were flying through space, while clouds of poisonous gas drifted between the fleets. Ships were exploding every few seconds, but neither side was winning. Look at them, Jake said. They are fighting the same battle they have been fighting for 3 years. The same tactics. The same formations. The same weapons. Neither side is learning anything new. The communication system suddenly made a loud beeping sound. A message was coming in from Earth. Lisa pressed a button, and the face of Admiral Susan Blake appeared on the screen. She was the commander of all human military forces, and she looked very serious. "Commander Morrison," Admiral Blake said, "we have a situation. A Zephyrian strike force has accidentally attacked our research station in the Kepler system. 300 human civilians are dead. The Zephyrians claim it was a mistake, but the damage is done." Jake felt his stomach drop. Human civilians were dead. That changed everything. Humans had stayed out of this war for 3 years, but now they had been attacked. The government would have to respond. "What are orders, Admiral?" Jake asked. "You are to return to Earth immediately. The President is calling an emergency meeting of the Defense Council. We need to decide how to respond to this attack. The neutrality period is over." The screen went dark. Jake looked at Lisa and Alan. They all knew what this meant. Humans were about to enter the war. The question was how they would fight and who they would fight against. "Do you think we will join one side against the other?" Lisa asked. Alan shook his head. "I don't think so. Both sides are responsible for this war continuing for so long. The Zephyrians attacked our station. The Corvans have been threatening our trade routes. I think we might have to fight both of them." Jake ordered the ship to turn around and head back to Earth. As they flew away from the battle zone, he thought about what would happen next. Humans had been watching this war for 3 years. They had learned everything about both alien armies. They knew their strengths and weaknesses. They knew their tactics and their technology, but most importantly, humans knew something that neither alien race understood. Wars were not won by being the strongest or having the best weapons. Wars were won by being smarter and more adaptable than your enemy. And when it came to those qualities, humans had advantages that no alien race had ever seen before. The journey back to Earth would take 2 days. In that time, Jake knew that everything would change. The galaxy was about to learn. What happened when humans finally decided to stop watching and start fighting? The meeting room in the White House was filled with the most important people in the human government. President Karen Mitchell sat at the head of the long table. She was a tall woman with gray hair who had been leading Earth for 5 years. Her face was serious as she looked at the reports about the attack on the research station. Around the table sat the leaders of Earth's military and intelligence services. General Paul Richards was the head of all Earth's armies. He was a big man with a thick mustache who had fought in 3 different wars. Admiral Susan Blake commanded all the ships in space. She was smaller than the general, but everyone knew she was just as tough. Dr. Peter Walsh was there too. He was the government's expert on alien psychology. Peter had spent 10 years studying how different alien races thought and acted. He understood their minds better than anyone else on Earth. "The attack happened 6 hours ago," President Mitchell said. 300 of our people are dead. The Zephyrians say it was an accident, but that doesn't bring our people back. We need to decide how to respond. General Richards opened a thick folder full of papers. "I have been preparing for this possibility for 2 years. Both alien armies have weaknesses that we can exploit. The Zephyrians are too proud. They will always choose to fight in the open rather than use tactics that might seem cowardly. The Corvans are too aggressive. They will always attack even when they should defend." Admiral Blake activated a holographic display that showed the positions of all the ships in the war. Blue dots represented Zephyrian ships, red dots represented Corvan ships. Green dots showed where human ships were located. "We have been watching this war for 3 years, Admiral Blake said. "We know exactly where every major ship and base is located. We know their patrol routes, we know their communication codes, we know their supply lines. Most importantly, we know that neither side expects us to attack." Dr. Walsh leaned forward. "Both alien races think of war as a contest of honor. They believe that the stronger side should win and the weaker side should surrender. They don't understand the human concept of total war. They have never faced an enemy that would do absolutely anything to win." President Mitchell looked at the holographic display. The war zone covered 17 star systems. Thousands of ships were fighting across hundreds of different battles. It looked impossible for any single force to control all of it. "What are You proposing? She asked. General Richards stood up and walked to the display. We don't join one side against the other. We attack both sides at the same time. We hit them so hard and so fast that they both surrender before they know what happened. That sounds impossible, President Mitchell said. We have fewer ships than either of them. How can we fight both alien armies at once? Admiral Blake pressed a button and the display changed. Now it showed human ships positioned around the edge of the war zone. There were more green dots than anyone had expected. We have been secretly building up our fleet for 2 years, Admiral Blake said. We have 3 times as many ships as either alien race knows about. We have been hiding them in empty star systems where their scouts never go. Dr. Walsh activated another display. This one showed detailed information about alien weapons and defenses. We have developed specific countermeasures for every weapon system both races use. Our ships have armor that can stop Zephyrian energy beams. Our soldiers have equipment that makes them immune to Corvan biological weapons. President Mitchell studied the information carefully. How long would this war last if we attack both sides? 5 hours, General Richards said. We hit every major target simultaneously. We destroy their command centers. We cut off their communications. We capture their supply bases. We do it all at the same time across 17 different star systems. The president looked surprised. 5 hours. This war has been going on for 3 years, and you think we can end it in 5 hours? Admiral Blake nodded. The aliens have been fighting a war of attrition. They try to slowly wear each other down. Humans fight differently. We believe in overwhelming force applied at the decisive moment. We don't give the enemy time to adapt or respond. Dr. Walsh brought up another display showing alien psychology profiles. Both races will surrender quickly once they realize they are outmatched. Zephyrians will surrender because continuing to fight would be dishonorable once they know they cannot win. Corvans will surrender because they are practical and will not waste lives on a hopeless cause. President Mitchell walked around the table. The weight of the decision was enormous. If they attacked both alien armies, humanity would become the dominant power in this part of the galaxy. If they failed, both alien races would unite against Earth and humanity might be destroyed. What do our allies think? She asked. We don't have any real allies, General Richards said. The other alien races in this region are too weak to matter. They have been staying neutral just like us. If we win this war quickly, they will probably want to join us. If we lose, they will pretend they never knew us. Admiral Blake showed another display with detailed battle plans. The operation would be called Checkmate. We would use our entire fleet. Every ship we have would participate. We would attack at exactly the same time in all 17 star systems. The key is coordination, Dr. Walsh said. Neither alien race has ever seen an attack this complex. They are used to fighting one battle at a time. We would be fighting dozens of battles simultaneously while making it look like one giant battle. President Mitchell sat back down. What are the risks? If we fail, both alien races will unite against us, General Richards said. They will stop fighting each other and focus on destroying humanity. We would face the combined fleets of both empires. But if we succeed, Admiral Blake said, we end this war permanently. Both alien races will be too weak to fight each other or anyone else. We become the peacekeepers for this entire region of space. The president looked at each person around the table. Are you all certain this plan will work? Yes, ma'am, they all said at the same time. President Mitchell took a deep breath. Then we do it. How long do you need to prepare? 18 hours, Admiral Blake said. Our ships are already in position. We just need to coordinate the final attack plans and synchronize our communications. The president signed the authorization papers. Operation Checkmate is approved. End this war in 5 hours and bring our people home. As the meeting ended, everyone knew that the galaxy was about to change forever. Humanity was no longer going to be a neutral observer. They were about to become the dominant military power in known space. At exactly 8 o'clock in the morning Earth time, The human fleet appeared in 17 different star systems at the same moment. The aliens had never seen anything like it. Ships just materialized out of empty space without any warning. The Zephyrians thought it was impossible. The Corvans thought it was magic. Captain Ryan Miller was commanding the human battleship called Defiant in the Vega system. This was the most important battle because the main Zephyrian command center was located here. Ryan was a young captain with black hair and sharp eyes. He had studied Zephyrian tactics for 2 years and he knew exactly how they would react. "All ships report ready," his communication officer said. Lieutenant Sarah Brown was the best communication specialist in the human fleet. She could coordinate hundreds of ships at the same time without making any mistakes. "Begin the attack," Ryan ordered. The Zephyrian commander was Sub-Admiral Zarketh. He was a tall blue alien with 4 arms and golden eyes. He had been fighting the Corvans for 3 years and he had never lost a major battle. When the human ships appeared, he thought they were Corvan vessels using some new technology. "Fire all weapons," Zarketh ordered his fleet. "Destroy these disguised Corvan ships." The Zephyrian ships fired their energy weapons at the human fleet. Bright blue beams shot through space toward the human ships, but something strange happened. The energy beams hit the human ships and just bounced off. The human shields absorbed the energy and converted it into power for their own weapons. "Impossible," Zarketh said. "Our weapons should have destroyed those ships," Captain Miller smiled. "They spent 3 years showing us exactly how their weapons work. We built our shields specifically to stop their energy beams. Fire all weapons." The human ships fired back, but they did not use energy weapons like the Zephyrians expected. Instead, they used kinetic weapons that fired solid metal projectiles at incredible speeds. The Zephyrian shields were designed to stop energy weapons, not physical objects. The metal projectiles punched through the Zephyrian shields like they were made of paper. Zephyrian ships began exploding all around the command center. In the first 10 minutes of the battle, the humans destroyed more Zephyrian ships than the Corvans had destroyed in the past 6 months. Commander Amy Foster was leading a squadron of human fighter ships. She was a small woman with blonde hair who was known for being fearless in battle. Her job was to attack the Zephyrian formation and confuse their defensive systems. "Remember," she told her pilots, "they expect us to attack in straight lines like the Corvans do. We are going to attack from every direction at once." The human fighters moved in patterns that made no sense to the Zephyrians. They would attack from above, then suddenly dive below the enemy ships. They would group together, then spread out in random directions. The Zephyrian computer systems could not predict where the human ships would be next. "Their defensive systems are overloading," Amy reported to Captain Miller. "They cannot track targets that move unpredictably." In the Arcturus system, Colonel Steve Parker was leading the attack on the main Corvan biological weapons facility. Steve was a tough soldier with gray hair who had fought in ground battles on 12 different planets. He knew that the Corvans would try to use their deadliest weapons against the human soldiers. "All Marines, put on your biosuits," Steve ordered. "Remember, these suits were designed specifically to protect against Corvan biological weapons. Nothing they have can hurt us." The Corvan commander was Bio-Marshal Kefthar. He was a giant insect-like alien with 6 arms and compound eyes. He had killed millions of enemies using biological weapons that could dissolve armor and poison entire atmospheres. "Release the death spores," Kefthar ordered. "No organic creature can survive exposure to our most deadly creations." Clouds of poisonous gas and deadly bacteria filled the space around the Corvan facility. Any normal soldiers would have died in seconds. But the human Marines just walked through the poisonous clouds like they were walking through fog. "Sir, the biological weapons are having no effect," a Corvan officer reported. "The human soldiers are immune to everything we have." Steve smiled inside his biosuit. "We studied your biological weapons for 2 years. We know exactly how they work. We made ourselves immune to all of them. Attack the main facility." The human Marines stormed the Corvan facility. The insect-like aliens tried to fight back with their natural weapons, They had razor-sharp claws and could spit acid. But the human soldiers were wearing armor that protected them from everything the Corvans could do, Lieutenant Commander Ben. Adams was on the human stealth ship called Shadow. His job was to attack the communication systems of both alien fleets. Ben was a thin man with brown hair who was an expert on alien computer systems. "Uploading the virus now," Ben said. "This should shut down their ability to coordinate with each other." The human virus was designed to attack both Zephyrian and Corvan computer systems at the same time. It spread through their communication networks like a disease. Within minutes, both alien fleets lost the ability to talk to their own ships. "Sir, we have lost contact with all our ships," a Zephyrian communication officer reported to Sub-Admiral Zarkith. "The same thing is happening to us," Bio-Marshal Kefthar was told by his own officers. "We cannot communicate with any of our forces." The aliens had never fought an enemy that could attack their computer systems. They had always relied on their communication networks to coordinate their attacks. Without the ability to talk to each other, their ships began acting independently instead of working together. By the end of the first hour, both alien fleets were in complete chaos. The Zephyrians could not use their traditional formation tactics because they could not coordinate their movements. The Corvans could not use their biological weapons because the humans were immune to them. Captain Miller looked at the battle reports. "Casualties?" he asked. 17 human fighters damaged," Lieutenant Brown reported. "No human ships destroyed, no human soldiers killed." "Enemy casualties?" Miller asked. 300 Zephyrian ships destroyed. 500 Corvan ships destroyed. "Both alien command centers are under attack," Miller nodded. The first hour had gone exactly as planned. The aliens had expected a traditional battle. Instead, they had faced an enemy that used tactics they had never seen before. The humans had demonstrated that they were not just another alien race to be conquered. They was something completely different and far more dangerous than anything the galaxy had ever seen before. The second hour of the battle began with Captain Tony Wells launching the next phase of the human attack. Tony was commanding the human carrier ship called Liberty in the Sirius system. He was a calm man with gray hair who had planned this part of the operation for months. His job was to destroy the support systems that kept both alien fleets running. "Launch all fighters," Tony ordered. "Target their fuel depots and ammunition storage facilities. We are not trying to destroy their ships. We are going to make it impossible for their ships to keep fighting." The human fighters spread out across the star system. They ignored the big alien warships and focused on the smaller support vessels. These were the ships that carried fuel and ammunition and spare parts to the fighting ships. Without these support ships, the alien fleets would be helpless. Lieutenant Commander Kelly Davis was leading one of the fighter squadrons. She was a young pilot with red hair who was known for her precise flying. Her squadron attacked a Zephyrian fuel depot that was hidden behind an asteroid. "Remember," Kelly told her pilots, "we don't want to kill everyone. We just want to make it so they cannot fight anymore." The human fighters used special weapons that could destroy fuel tanks without causing huge explosions. The Zephyrian depot was destroyed, but most of the alien workers survived. They were left floating in space in their emergency suits, waiting to be rescued. In the Centauri system, Commander Rachel Stone was dealing with a different problem. The Zephyrians had realized that their traditional tactics were not working. They were trying to adapt to the human style of fighting. Rachel was a smart woman with short black hair who had studied alien psychology for years. "Sir, the Zephyrians are breaking their formation," her tactical officer reported. "They are trying to copy our random movement patterns," Rachel smiled. "They are 3 years too late. We have been studying their psychology. They cannot really change the way they think. They are still predictable even when they try to be unpredictable." The Zephyrians were trying to move their ships in irregular patterns like the human fighters had done. But they were doing it wrong. Their movements looked random, but they were actually following a pattern based on their traditional battle formations. The human computers could still predict where they would go next. "Fire on their projected positions," Rachel ordered. "Not where they are now, but where they will be in 30 seconds. The human weapons fired at empty space. The Zephyrians thought the humans had missed. Then they moved their ships right into the path of the human weapons. The Zephyrian commanders could not understand how the humans had known exactly where they would move. Major Don Brooks was leading a special operation in the Rigel system. His job was to capture enemy ships instead of destroying them. Don was a big man with a beard who specialized in boarding actions. He had trained his Marines to fight inside alien ships. "We need to capture both a Zephyrian command ship and a Corvan biocruiser," Don told his team. "Intelligence wants to study their technology and interrogate their commanders." The human Marines used special equipment to cut through the hulls of enemy ships. They wore armor that protected them from both energy weapons and biological attacks. The aliens had never faced soldiers who could fight effectively inside their own ships. The Zephyrian ship was the easier target. The blue-skinned aliens fought with energy weapons that were designed for space combat. Inside the narrow corridors of their own ship, these weapons were too powerful. When the Zephyrians fired their weapons, they damaged their own ship more than they hurt the human Marines. "Surrender," Don called out in the Zephyrian language. "We do not want to kill you, we just want to capture your ship." The Zephyrian commander was a young officer named Sub-Lieutenant Victor. He had never seen aliens who could speak his language so perfectly. He was confused and scared. His weapons were useless and his ship was being destroyed by his own soldiers. "How do you know our language?" Victor asked. "We have been studying your people for 3 years," Don replied. "We know everything. About you, your weapons, your tactics, your psychology, your language. We know you better than you know yourselves." The Corvan biocruiser was more difficult. The insect-like aliens were natural fighters. They had claws and acid spit and they could fight in the dark. But the human Marines had trained for this exact situation. "Use the sonic weapons," Don ordered. Corvans are sensitive to high-frequency sounds. The human Marines activated weapons that produced sounds too high for human ears to hear. But the Corvans could hear these sounds and they caused terrible pain. The insect-like aliens collapsed to the ground holding their heads. "Stop the noise," the Corvan bio Captain Threshak begged. "We surrender, just make the pain stop." By the third hour, both alien fleets were running out of ammunition and fuel. Their support ships had been destroyed or captured. Their communication systems were still not working. Many of their best commanders had been captured or killed. Sub-Admiral Zarketh was becoming desperate. His fleet had lost half its ships and the rest were almost out of fuel. He tried to contact the Corvan fleet to suggest they work together against the humans. "The Biomarshal Cathar, this is Sub-Admiral Zarketh," he broadcast on all frequencies. "We must stop fighting each other and unite against these humans. They are more dangerous than we thought." But the communication systems were still infected with the human virus. The message was scrambled and delayed. When it finally reached the Corvan commander, the words were mixed up and made no sense. "The Zephyrians are trying to trick us," Cathar told his officers. "They want us to lower our defenses so they can attack us." The two alien fleets continued to fight each other even while they were being defeated by the humans. Their hatred for each other was so strong that they could not work together even to save themselves. Admiral Blake was coordinating the entire operation from her command ship. She was watching the battle reports from all 17 star systems. The plan was working perfectly. Both alien fleets were being systematically destroyed. "Fourth hour begins now," she announced to all human commanders. "Prepare for the final phase. We are going to capture both alien high commands and force them to surrender." The war that had lasted 3 years was almost over. The humans had spent only 3 hours fighting and they had already won. The final hour would determine what happened to both alien races and whether there would be peace in the galaxy. The fifth and final hour began with Admiral Blake herself leading the most important mission of the entire war. She was flying toward the neutral zone where both alien high commands had built their joint operations center. This facility was supposed to be impossible to attack because it was protected by ships from both alien fleets. "All ships prepare for final assault," Blake announced on the communication system. We are going to capture both alien Supreme Commanders at the same time. The Joint Operations Center was a massive space station that floated between the territories of both alien empires. It was where the highest-ranking officers from both sides met to coordinate their war efforts. Neither side trusted the other, but they both needed this neutral meeting place. Commander Nick Phillips was leading the assault force. He was a tough officer with scars on his face from previous battles. His job was to capture the space station without destroying it. The humans needed both alien commanders alive so they could negotiate the surrender. Sir, the station is heavily defended, his weapons officer reported. They have energy shields and point defense systems. Both alien fleets have their best ships. Protecting it, Nick smiled. They are protecting it from each other? They never expected someone to attack both sides at the same time. The human ships approached the space station from multiple directions. The alien defenders were confused because they could not tell which ships were attacking which side. The Zephyrian ships thought the humans were working with the Corvans. The Corvan ships thought the humans were working with the Zephyrians. Do not fire on the human ships, the Zephyrian station commander ordered. They might be our new allies. Against the Corvans. Hold your fire, the Corvan station commander told his ships. The humans might be helping us against the Zephyrians. This confusion lasted for exactly 10 minutes. That was all the time the humans needed to get close enough to launch their boarding shuttles. By the time both alien commanders realized they were both being attacked, it was too late. The human marines cut through the hull of the space station in 12 different places. They moved through the corridors wearing armor that protected them from both energy weapons and biological attacks. The alien security forces could not stop them. Captain Morrison had arrived from Earth just in time to participate in the final assault. His ship New Horizon was equipped with special translation equipment that could communicate with both alien races at the same time. This is Commander Morrison of the Human Earth Fleet, he announced to the space station. You are surrounded and outgunned. Surrender immediately and no one else has to die. Inside the space station, chaos was everywhere. Zephyrian and Corvan officers were running in different directions. Some were trying to fight the human marines. Others were trying to destroy important documents. A few were trying to escape in small ships. General Zarthok was the supreme commander of all Zephyrian forces. He was an old alien with golden skin who had been fighting wars for 50 years. He had never lost a major battle until today. He could not understand how his entire fleet had been defeated in just 4 hours. How is this possible? He asked his aide. We had more ships than the humans. We had better weapons. We had thousands of years of military experience. Marshal Kevran was the supreme commander of all Corvan forces. He was a giant insect-like creature with 8 eyes who could see in all directions at once. He had conquered dozens of planets using biological weapons that killed everything they touched. Now he was trapped in a space station by enemies he had never seen before today. These humans are not like any species we have encountered, Kevran told his officers. They do not fight for territory or resources. They fight to end wars quickly. The human marines reached the command center of the space station. Both alien supreme commanders were there along with their top officers. The room was filled with maps and communication equipment from 17 different star systems. Surrender now, Major Brooks announced as his marines surrounded both alien commanders. Your fleets are destroyed. Your supply lines are cut. Your communication systems are down. This war is over. General Zarthok looked at the tactical displays. Every screen showed the same thing. Zephyrian ships were either destroyed, captured, or out of fuel. His proud fleet that had fought for 3 years was gone. You have won, Zarthok said. But I do not understand how you defeated us so quickly. Marshal Kevran studied the humans through his compound eyes. Your species is different from us. You do not fight the way we expected. Admiral Blake entered the command center. She was still wearing her combat uniform and she looked tired but victorious. She had just won the most important battle in human history. The war is over, she announced. Both of your fleets have surrendered. Your choice now is simple. You can accept our terms for peace, or you can watch your entire civilizations be destroyed. She activated a holographic display that showed every star system where the battle had taken place. Green lights marked human victories. There were no red or blue lights left anywhere. In 5 hours, we have done what you could not do in 3 years, Blake continued. We have ended this war. Now we are going to make sure it never starts again. Commander. Morrison stepped forward with the surrender documents. They were written in both alien languages as well as human languages. These are the terms, Morrison said. Both of your civilizations will stop all military actions immediately. You will withdraw your remaining ships to your home systems. You will accept human oversight of all future disputes between your peoples. General Zarthok read the documents carefully. You are making us accept human authority over our own affairs. Yes, Blake replied. You have proven that you cannot solve your problems peacefully. We are going to solve them for you. Bio-Marshal Kevron looked at his tactical advisors. They all nodded their heads. Fighting was hopeless. The humans had demonstrated military capabilities that neither alien race could match. We accept your terms, both alien commanders said at the same time. The formal surrender ceremony took place on the space station. Representatives from dozens of other alien civilizations came to witness the event. Word had spread throughout the galaxy that humans had ended a 3-year war in just 5 hours. As the documents were signed, Admiral Blake thought about what this meant for humanity. Earth was no longer a small neutral planet. It was now the dominant military power in this part of the galaxy. Other alien races would either become allies or enemies based on how humans handled this victory. The war is over, she announced to the galaxy. Peace will be maintained by human forces. Any civilization that threatens this peace will face the same fate as those who started this war. The journey back to Earth took 3 days. During that time, news of the human victory spread to every inhabited planet in known space. The galaxy would never be the same. Humanity had announced its presence in the most dramatic way possible, and everyone was watching to see what they would do next.